name's Rosie Jones. I'm the ICURe lead for the Set Square Partnership, which has been mentioned that we are a incubator and accelerator partnership between Bath, Bristol, Cardiff, Exeter, Southampton and Surrey institutions. So generally south-west to the central south. We're delighted to run ICURe. It's a fantastic program. And one of the reasons that I'm completely delighted is because I get to work with people like these. So I'm just going to sit down and I'm just going to introduce our three entrepreneurial leads who are now CEOs of their own businesses. And we're going to talk a little bit about their experience and where they're going. So firstly, Srijan Jindal from Innovative DX. Roxana Theodore from Veolia, and Ben Holden from Holifirm in the end there. So just I want to ask you a few questions about your experience, starting with Ben, I think, about your experience of ICURe. How did you get into it, and what benefit was it for you?
So I think from my perspective, I came into ICURe having already started looking to commercialize the technology, was reaching out to a lot of people. We'd already filed a patent. I think that the real benefit of ICURe was facilitating being able to do all of the travel and be able to fund that and make all of the connections with potential partners during that trip, where we were able to do some more pilot studies, as well as speak to a lot of customers around the world. And some of those customers have now converted into kind of our first, some of our early paying customers for our product. And yeah, it was a really great experience.
Fantastic. I should have asked. Tell us a little bit about your company. Yes,
Yeah, so we're a biochemical producer, so our technology is really, the differentiation is that we can produce biochemicals more cheaply, so we can ultimately be directly cost competitive with bulk petrochemicals, currently cost competitive with specialties. We're currently playing in the surfactant market, so everything that cleans and everything that foams, so mostly in your home and personal care, but also in things like agriculture and animal feed.
Fantastic, thank you. Roxana, tell us a little bit about what you're doing and how you got into ICURe.
Thank you, Rosie. What I'm doing is something that I never thought I would. My background is that of a geneticist, and back in 2017 I came across a concept that changed completely the trajectory of my career. I learned that we could extract chaos from genomic sequencing, and that it can be useful to digital products that need to demonstrate they are unique, authentic, and untempered. So, because it was such a crazy concept, I didn't believe it myself. I thought it was crazy for about 3 months. I thought someone surely must have done that by then. I read about 700 articles trying to find out if that was a thing. And we filed for a patent. Then we went for ICURe, and we learned that actually people do need to use that type of technology, that they do use it all the time, and that if we demonstrate it's viable, there is quite a market for it, and there was a surprise. That was a surprise to me. But obviously, this was a very risky thing to do, so we progressed very quietly. We're still quiet, and we're planning to have a soft launch in Geneva with full regulatory compliance in place, with a case study, a first case study that works on digital art. So that's the conceptual art as a digital product, as a first case study for a circular economy between digital products and genomic sequencing. ICURe was absolutely essential in our journey, because that's where I identified my first colleague who became a director. He's in the US, based in Boston, and we've been running the company together ever since. Our investor I met prior to ICURe. Because we had this ICURe journey, I think we may have gained a bit more confidence or not. It's still a crazy concept. But our third director has VC funding experience, and that was also very useful, because the reality of market is that founders sometimes come across as a bit crazy and a bit odd, and I'm personally highly disagreeable. And I don't do it on purpose, it's just the reality. Lisa knows, I kind of asked her, where's your lanyard? So that's which is not the best thing to do with the director, renovated, but so this is the kind of stuff that always stumble across. And at one point, you kind of get out of your own way, speaking about what would help. And having diversity in the company is not a bug in our company, it's a feature. So yes, you have the founder who's a bit crazy, but then you have all the rest of the other people who are much more approachable and they can do things that you can't. So this is where innovating, in Set Squared partnership actually in ICURe helped a lot because they could see it was probably Dawn who recognized the project and Paul, but it was an odd project, very strange thing to do. It got through. We're still here. We'll see how the business goes or not, but it can be done. And that's the message. You just have to take that risk, have to get out of the comfort zone of doing the academia bit and just do something different.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Srijan, how did you, what are you doing and how did you get into it in the first place?
Everyone. Srijan from Innovative Diagnostics. We are building a rapid point of care solution for UTI diagnostics, providing everything from infection identification to AST within an hour. So it's one of the fastest point of care solutions in pipeline right now. I work as the Chief Scientific Officer. A little bit about my journey. I mean, I was more immature than both of these here on the panel. As a researcher, we had great fire the party because this we tried some clinical samples and we got 100% success, which is insane in the field of biology. So my startup, Spinouts, I'd say, is a coalition of two cities which love each other, Manchester and Liverpool. So patent was filed in Manchester and the company spun out of Liverpool. But it was right at the brink of COVID. The lockdown was engaged. I had finished my PhD and I had nothing else to do than sit in my room and the labs were completely locked down. It was that time. And then this opportunity came through ICURe to explore the commercialization. By that time, the only thing in my mind was it would be really cool to have a company. That's it. What ICURe really helped me is understand what it takes to build a company as a researcher who's locked in the lab, away from the outside world, commercial world. I had no idea what it takes. I don't know how many researchers feel like this, but I always felt like I had done 90% of the job. It's just the product, right? Someone's gonna make it, you're gonna sell it. Easy. ICURe opened my eyes. Like, you have literally got a brick on the wall. You have to build the whole house. And these are the processes. Taking the right people, the right steps, right measures, showing the outlook of what needs to be done, how you need to achieve it. I would say whatever we are doing right now is very different from what I learned in ICURe, but ICURe told us that that's what's needed to be done. Those are the verticals you need to focus on, and this is the time that it will take. No, you're not launching the product next year. It will take you 5 years, 10 years, it's a diagnostic product. So yeah, it was huge. ICURe was hugely.
And can you tell me a little bit, I mean, as part of ICURe, for those of you that don't understand the process completely, we give our entrepreneurial leads the opportunity to go and meet people from many geographies around the world and in many, many different markets. We ask them to look at least 5 different markets, not just the one that you first thought of. Talk to me a little bit about how that market exploration sort of helped you and is helping you still now. Ben, do you want to talk on that? Is that?
Yeah, sure, yeah. So I think market exploration is absolutely key, and I think that's something we've really continued during the ICURe journey and then also after. We actually spent a lot of time during ICURe looking for people who might be interested in licensing the technology. That was something we did actually get a lot of interest, and we did first kind of licensing deals off of the back of some of the conversations we had during ICURe, but continued exploring and realized actually that wasn't the right way to do it. Similar kind of approach that we're using now to continue exploring the market. Now we're producing and selling products, but it's actually not too dissimilar. What we have our salespeople doing now when they're exploring new geographies, exploring new applications. And we've just hired people in the US and Asia, for example, who are really taking a pretty similar approach to what people would do during the ICURe, go out, meet a lot of people, try and understand what the uses are. We still find some, even though we've been active for 8 years really trying to sell these products, we're still finding new applications where people come to us and say, I'm really interested in this, and you find a lead where you had no idea that the product would be useful there. So absolutely, very impactful being able to have the opportunity to do that.
Fantastic. And yourself, Priyanka, something?
Oh, for us, it was really odd because one of the trips, obviously, I already mentioned that I met my future business partner in New York. He's based in Boston. But one of the interesting bits that I never thought would come up was that I went to speak to someone at the European Commission about circularity and circular economics, and whether this has anything to do with anything. And lo and behold, as of this year, there's actually the Circularity Act in the European Union, and as if European companies don't have enough on their heads, it becomes a bit of a regulatory thing that we can actually probably answer as a company, providing the circularity by design, that it's not greenwashing, it's actually a useful thing. It still has a lot of issues. There are still, we practice this diamond shape approach. So you start off with one thing, you go broad, and then you narrow things down further. And that's how we can cross to a first case study that, again, I never would have thought of, which is a digital art collection. So that's a case study. As a geneticist, it never would have occurred to me if it hadn't been for this mentality of testing, of exploring, and of validating. At the end of the day, it is about market validation.
And Srijan, I know you've changed your business model, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so ICURe, the market exploration, basically helping you understand what we have versus what we need. So really understanding what your stakeholders' needs are, what are they looking in the product. As an idea, it's a great solution, but as a product, is that the product they're looking? So we started with something called flow cytometry, which you might know is a complex piece of kit. Realized if we want to implement this into a diagnostic tool, we can't. We have to make something easy and cheaper. So we moved microscopy completely after ICURe, which basically meant we didn't use any of the patent that we had initially filed. It was a massive pivot. We started and I'm like, okay, so we're doing this from step one, just based on the concept that this would work. And we as a team were like, I guess so. But you know, that was the best decision of our life, because right now we're working on a prototype and we are about 2 years away from marketing some clinical testing. So yeah, ICURe really helped us understand what the stakeholders' needs are, and that included what hospitals want, what regulatories want, what would be cheaper to build, what would be reimbursable. And I think that really helps you shape. And also, one thing I would say is, you need to remember that you don't need to protect your idea. It is your baby, but let it grow, let it change. And ICURe really shows you that. It shows you paths, and you're like, oh my God, will I have to ditch everything? Ditch it, because that's what it's showing. Yeah, that was a big thing.
Yeah, fantastic. Ben, I know your company has grown quite remarkably since you started off from ICURe. Tell us a little bit about what happened when you left ICURe and to where you are now.
Yeah, so I guess just after ICURe, we secured the Innovate UK funding, also associated with the ICURe scheme. Just before the ICURe, actually, we'd got a £1 million VC investment from ICURE's capital, which enabled us to, and at that stage, we were still going out looking to license the technology. We realized that building a plant would make more sense, particularly during COVID. We were struggling figuring out how to license, how to demonstrate the technology, decided to build a pilot plant, and then we're able to launch with customers. We ended up running our pilot plant as a commercial plant because we had customers asking for the product, which was hectic in its own way, but definitely a good proof point for the commercial side, which enabled us to get our Series A closed. And then since then, we've built our commercial plant, got a 1.5 kiloton plant based in Birkenhead, did our Series B to also scale up, and we're now ramping up the commercialization from there. So we've been spec'd into a lot of products. Went into 26 product launches last year, and really ramping up from our current plant, looking to get to profitability. and then scale up again. So we've got space to go to 15 kilotons in Birkenhead, and then looking to expand around the world.
Brilliant. And how many people do you employ at the moment?
There's 58 of us at the moment.
58. That's huge, isn't it? And how's your stage from yours, Roxana?
For us, it was a bit, again, a bit odd. We realized we could go for public type of funding, and we could spend a lot of time trying to get public funding, which would expose our business and the content to more eyes than would have been advantageous for the business on the long term. So instead, we decided to go for private investment only, and we have a partnership with a commercial entity. The business at the moment is valuated just under £80 million, and we are looking to bring to direct to consumer and to consumer-funded business model as soon as possible, and hopefully stay that way, while creating opportunities for capturing value for other companies, because it's essentially an ecosystem, and I know this term has been passed about quite a bit, but in some cases it actually applies. We are still very quiet, so if anyone is interested in what we do, you can register on the website, and my promise to people who register is that you're going to hear about the news from us before our shareholders do, and that's actually the case, which doesn't make me a lot of fans, but
Thank you very much. Srijan, is there anything else you wanted to add about your experience?
I think they've given plenty of feedback.
Yeah. Fantastic. So my next question really is what other support have you had since you've spun out, since you've been doing? What else are you looking for going forward now?
Yeah, sure. So I think some of the things that really helped early days, and before we went to ICURe, there was the Deep Science Ventures. Is a really great accelerator program. We didn't end up taking investment from them, but certainly I would think that tying together with them would be good. Royal Academy of Engineering a fellowship was pretty similar in many ways to ICURe, less of an emphasis on meeting people, but I think also really good business training. Also the BioVale cluster. I mean that's particular for people in the bioeconomy, but they also did some really good training. And I think then also, and I heard some comments about discussions of UK and US, etc. But one of the resources that's been really good to us, we've had a US investor, and they've been incredibly supportive. So I think maybe there's also an opportunity to make some links with international investors as well, because we've seen they've also pushed us forward a lot quicker. And when we did our Series B, for example, today, we had a US investor, Rhapsody Ventures, led our Series A. But then when we came to our Series B, they had already tied up the funding from some of their LPs and brought us a term sheet within a month or two for all of the money we needed. And I think that's something that's harder for British investors to do, particularly the bigger ones tend to be more institutionalized and have more red tape around them, where for instance, this investor could just bring it together and it's just people they know and they can just bring the money and say, let's go. So linking, and I think that's something that's really good about ICURe, that it is very much a let's just go type approach. Would be good to bring in some of those kind of investors alongside the kind of more institutionalized ones as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Roxana, other support?
For us, I think it was a form of validation that you're not completely crazy. And it might not seem very important and it might not seem relevant, but sometimes it is, because when you're a scientist working in a certain type of system and you completely shift to something radically different, it is important. And one of the things that helped me a lot was really getting in contact with the decision makers and understanding that you have to reach the decision makers. You have to understand who those decision makers are. And what you propose needs to go straight to the point. And we've been very transparent about the unknowns. So there's this that we know, there's the stuff that we know we don't know, but there's going to be a massive amount of volatility around what we don't even know that we don't know. And that's also part of the ICURe journey, because that's what we call the black swans. And I'm sure all three of us have come across that a lot.
Fantastic. And Srijan, is there any other support that you've had external or since ICURe?
No, we did apply for our biomedical catalyst and we got through. And I think I was telling her earlier that we had one of the biggest mess-ups ever. We put the wrong company number by 1 digit and we did not get £900,000 of money. They wouldn't change it. But we have 2 serial entrepreneurs as the CEO and director, and they have basically raised a lot of VC angel funding. So money-wise, we've been fine, but that biomedical catalyst hurts a little bit.
But it's also evidence of how things work in a regimented system versus in the private sector. And in the private sector, they couldn't care less that you make that level. There you go.
Exactly.
So sometimes it's important just get out. Just get out of the public sector. Get into the private sector as fast. I'm sorry, it's again, sorry.
So true.
Just
That
get
is so
out.
true.
It's one of the things that our investor told us. The CTO of our investor said, just forget about it. Just stop applying for grants. Go for private investor. Go for a customer-funded business model as fast as you can, and you'll be much better off. And sometimes that's the case. We didn't have regulatory clarity in the UK. We spun out a subsidiary in Switzerland. You have to do that.
I love the fact we have a room full of people in the public sector, which is fantastic. And also, but it completely,
Come talk to me if you
it completely underlines our point, which is this: we are here for market failure. When there isn't market failure, that's where we should be launching you out into the private sector. So I think that makes our point very nicely. Thank you, Roxana, for that.
My pleasure.
Ben, sorry.
I was going to say, maybe I can add, because we've had a lot of positive experience with grant funding as well from Innovate UK. And that's really helped us. It helped us build our plans. I think that really making sure that links up to the goals of the businesses. In particular, I think there's a gap where companies are starting to make money, but haven't yet got to kind of full profitability, and encouraging that. So I think there's a lot of in the Innovate UK model. There's a lot that says we'll fund things before they're able to get profitable, or before they're able to make any money at all, even if it's get some cash in at a loss. Maybe there's even a model in my mind where you provide some kind of match funding. Whatever money you make, we'll match it to encourage people to make money, because I think some of the grants are kind of focused around almost we're not ready yet, where there's a way to push it, I think, to get ready now and try to get there.
And we encourage you again to use the QR code to actually give some feedback. There we are. So thanks, Ben. I think that's a really good point. That match point, and that's one of those things that we're also looking through as part of the ongoing part of ICURe for going through the future. Anything from you, Srijan? Have you had any Innovate UK funding or grants or anything else coming through?
No, not yet. I mean, we are completely private funding, no public. What really helped us is kickoff, that 300K that Innovate, that ICURe gave us. I mean, I'm pre-discover, explore sort of era, 2021, where it was Lean Launchpad and ICURe. That 300K gave us that kick to get to the investors and build something to pitch and get that money. One problem that I faced with grants is grant management is a full-time job. And I can just hear, like, everyone agrees, yeah. Private funding is very well managed, because you get the money, you have to show the deliverables that is in company's benefit. You sort of see how it's progressing. Grant money, they have different deliverables. They want to see, and once you show those deliverables, then you get the money back. It's sort of a reimbursement. All of that can be quite complex, and we just, at some point, we realized that 1 or 2 people that we are exploiting in managing grant can be better used in building the technology. And we didn't want to get someone for grant management, because another thing that this journey has taught me, that the company is all about the people. If you, like, especially when you start, one person can alter the company culture by about 25 to 30%. So you need to get the right people who share the same goal, who are not there for 9 to 5, who are there for that end product. At that time, you don't want to just get someone and, fill up a hole. So that whole people aspect really pushed us towards. Plus, I think, also private funding is not that easy. We had people who could get us the private funding, so it became easier for us. So it's somewhere in the middle, you'll find a very safe spot for yourself.
Fantastic. I'm pretty sure we're just running out of time. Have you got any thoughts, any last thoughts, sort of very quick one-liners for the audience, or any thoughts about where you're going to go next? No?
Where we're going next, so we're looking to build out around the world. So I think, support that the UK in general, the UK ecosystem can provide to being able to scale up globally will be very much appreciated.
Fantastic. Thank you.
We're having a soft launch in Geneva in March. If anyone wants to hear about it, you can get in touch. If you're an art collector and you want something completely crazy, get in touch. I'm an absolutely dreadful salesperson, just dreadful. So please don't take my word for it. Look at the content.
But get in touch.
But get in touch. If you can put up with an...
Finally for you.
So you'll probably see our device in about 3 years in nearest GP and pharmacies. So stay tuned and get your UTI diagnosed in under 10 minutes. That would be great. One thing I'd say to everyone who's sort of pursuing this entrepreneurship area is there's just two things I'd say. Number one, if there's someone who can make a product out of your idea, it's you. Because you know the technology inside out, not the world expert, it's you. And number two, if you pursue this, try not to be the CEO. It's a horrible job. Raising money, managing a company is not fun. You have got a specialty, you know the science, you know the technology. That has got so much more learning to do when you go into the industry. Hold that role because you have a background for that, and let someone else take the CEO role.
Well, actually, in my case, it was the opposite. Our investor said it can only be you. So whatever the case may be for you, you do you. That's the message.
I think that is a brilliant place to finish off. So thank you very much. Thank you.